top piece fits nicely in the top, the bottom piece fits nicely in the bottom, and so far this plate fits. So I know I can proceed now and be happy with the head as it is, to start cutting foam. Now if I decide to change, like I said, only these pieces will have to change, and that's not a big deal. Okay, I can do that. The body is made very similar. You figure out the body shape. I've decided to go with broader shoulders. His shoulders are pretty broad, and I'm going to taper in the body. So it goes from a really wide upper body into a more narrowed lower body down here. So I want him to have very broad shoulders. So I will be basing a body on that shape, and I will see if I have enough time to fit a video in on doing the body. I'm hoping I can, but I'm worried about only once a week getting this pattern done in time before Halloween. So we'll see. But so far we've got to this stage. So I'm happy, everything kind of sticks together. So I go back, and by the way, instead of cutting paper out, just get razor blades. And I got one right here. Just use a razor blade. Instead of using scissors, it's so much easier. And make sure everything's out of the way underneath where you cut. It's so easy to just cut it instead of using scissors all the time. So just a little hint to quicken the process up, and you get beautiful curves on it, and it works nicely. So just use plain old razor blades, and that works great. So I'm going to use a razor blade right now to take the tape off gently, to not wreck my now pattern of the basic shape. What time are we on to? Okay. We're doing fine. I'm on schedule. So there we go. That's out. I would remove these as well. Everything's been removed. The tape's been taken off. I'm just going to get rid of the scrap paper. And this is the shape I need. Some handy tools to have in the process is always a Sharpie. Never leave home without it. Like I said, tape, which I already talked about. Obviously a pair of scissors devoted to paper cutting. And for the circles and the mouth plate, I love to use my compass. They're pretty cheap, and they're always nice to have. I have the one with no pencil. I just use lead, and I like the ones that you preset. Once you turn this thing, it locks in place, and you always get the same circle each time that you do it. Because sometimes the other ones that are loose, you always lose its place, and it's frustrating. So this is the best one if you can get it, and I don't think they're much more than the other ones anyway. So there's some tools that you can use. Now we're going to transfer this over to foam, and this is these tools. This thing, which I've mentioned before on my videos are on YouTube, but this makes great round. If you need a wavy line in a pattern, you bend this, and you get this in the graphics department, graphic design department, and it's used to guide, to shape, you know, curves and that, and you get them nice and smooth. So that's what you can use as well in the process of making your pattern. So these are all kind of handy tools to have available, and of course your ruler, if you need a ruler. They're all handy to have around when you're making the paper pattern and all that. Okay, so we're done with all that. Now what we need is our Sharpie again, and this is my cutter blade. I just remember I haven't replaced the blade. This one's pretty dull, so I'm going to use it anyways, but it's not going to cut as well as it should. This should be quite sharp when used, and not so dull. And you can also use the good old razor blade as well. So there's two options when cutting foam. Scissors don't work as well. You don't get a nice clean cut. And so what I did was trace my pattern with the Sharpie. Pretty straightforward. I had a big piece of foam, traced it out, took it off, and I cut it out all the way around. So there it is. I drew where the mouth should go approximately, and that's it. And I'm hoping to show to glue tonight if I have enough time. Okay. If not, I'll be showing it next. No, I'm going to wait till next class for the gluing. And so, what I'm using for this puppet is reticulated foam, which is a more expensive foam. It has a longer shelf life instead of the other type of regular foam that's usually yellow. This is dyed, by the way. This is a dyed foam, but this is more of the stuff that people buy, and it just doesn't have as long of a shelf life normally, unless you really take good care of it. It comes in a yellowish color, almost like this color, and this one was dyed, which I used as a demo in my dyeing video for dyeing foam. This is reticulated. You can notice the difference, especially if I put it side by side, how they're a bit different even in coarseness. This has more holes in it. And this stuff here, the more expensive stuff, they use in air conditioners and that's where they use it. And so it's susceptible or accepts moisture quite well and doesn't break down as quickly when it's in a moisture environment. So when you're sweating in your puppet, your hand, it won't break down the fabrics as quickly. But it still will, because this stuff will eventually. So what I'm going to show you now is how to cut out the foam. And these are the top and bottom pieces that I traced out already. And what's really important, and I wish I had a better angle, but is to keep the blade straight up and down like this. And this goes the same with this. The same thing. You want to keep it straight up and down. You don't want an angle. You don't want to angle this, because you'll end up with all your foam being angled, and it'll be really hard to glue. Thank you, Creature S. Creature S said that it is more lightweight reticulated foam, and it breathes better. Yes, with which I mentioned, it has coarser or larger holes, so it will breathe better. So thank you for saying that. So that is, an important thing. So here we go, straight up and down, and you want to angle the razor a bit up towards you, okay, as you cut. You don't want to cut it straight on. You want a bit of an angle, and it's straight up and down. And let's start. And you just simply relax. Don't get stiff on this. Just relax and let it flow. And look at that. Got a nice clean cut. If you're finding that it's becoming very jagged, I don't know if I can do it, but if you're really fighting with the foam, look, like this. If you're really fighting with it and you can't cut it, it's because you're not holding your knife on the proper angle. Straight up and down, and just slightly tilted towards you, and it should cut nice and clean. Like I said, this blade is dull, so it's not cutting all the way through like the razor did. But if you're having that problem, your blade needs to be changed. And foam kills your blades. Yes, blades need to be perpendicular to the cutting surface. Thank you. That's a better way to put it, but I want to explain it as well. So once again, straight up and down, slightly on an angle pointed towards you, and let it just flow up. So there we go. Nice clean cut, nothing jagged is what you're aiming for.